More rap beefing, y'all. Let's get into it, y'all. Here we go. This is from the same YouTube channel, What's the Dirt, that we just watched. Kendrick Euphoria diss actually explained. Tons of new info. To be honest, well, I feel like we did a decent breakdown of Euphoria when we heard it, but the way that he breaks stuff down and looks stuff up, he's gonna be on another level. I already know he's gonna be on another level. Y'all ready? Here we go. YouTube.
All right, guys. So I'm clearly behind the curve right now. Diss tracks are dropping left, right, and center, and all I can really do is do these one at a time. What I can say is that I put an enormous amount of effort and time into these videos, and there's a reason why all of my breakdowns are different from everyone else's. To try and figure out what it all means, like, I'm not just pulling info from Genius, I'm studying the lyrics for hours and hours and hours. Like, a lot of time goes into this. With all that said, just a week ago, Kendrick Lamar dropped a 6-minute diss record towards Drake.
He said, "Stop rushing me. I'm different."
Anyone that waited for this video, the patience, like, I know what this moment is. I can't do this twice, so I'm trying to do it right. All right, so first and foremost, the title, Euphoria. So much to unpack in this in itself. Now, as you guys know, on Drake's track, Tailor Made, he said that he was expecting a quintuple entendre from Kendrick due to his delay.
You better have a motherfucking quintuple entendre on that shit. Some shit I don't even understand.
And Kendrick did that in the title, and then some. Now, before I break down all the meanings of this title, I want to point out the true hidden meanings first, which everyone has missed, and it is quite literally a large part of the entire premise and setup of this record.
What?
Uma Thurman from Kill Bill recently tagged Drake in a post on Instagram, offering him the iconic suit where she fends off multiple opponents. Now, the objective of her character is that of revenge. She is quite literally trying to kill Bill.
So glad I
However,
saw that.
there is a scene in the series where Bill claims that she is a liar who is not just incapable of telling the truth about him, but telling the truth to herself.
Oh!
Because when it comes to the subject of me,
This was the second one.
You are truly and utterly incapable of telling the truth, especially to me, and least of all, to yourself.
To address his issues with her lies, Bill shoots her with a dart containing a serum called the Undisputed Truth.
I'm so glad I just saw this.
And states that the serum will cause a state of euphoria.
Gotcha! What lies within that dart is an incredibly potent and quite infallible truth serum. I call it the Undisputed Truth, with no druggy after effects, except for a slight wave of euphoria.
Wow!
And that is quite literally the setup of how Kendrick approaches this record.
Wow. Wow. And you know what I was sitting up laughing about? So, like, what was it, like a month or 2 or 3 ago? Like, we just did Kill Bill reactions on the reaction channel for volume 1 and 2. And so I thought it was funny. I saw the post of Uma Thurman being like, "You need the suit." And I was like, wow, that's wild. I just saw the movie. But this, I didn't even connect the, how do you get this? How do you even pick this up and be like, oh yeah, this is what, this is wild. This is so crazy.
By presenting what he feels to be non-stop, undisputed truths about Drake.
I didn't even
It is in this track and the upcoming tracks where you will see Kendrick paints Drake as a liar, as an actor, as someone that lies to himself. Kendrick paints Drake as a liar, as an actor.
Bitch, come on with this picture. Come on. What's up, Callie? Welcome. Come on with this. It's the choice in pictures on this video. I can't. Come on. Not the T.I. Hatley. Come on.
As someone that lies to himself, and just like Bill in this movie, Kendrick does not believe a word that Drake says. However, in the very first line of this track, Kendrick makes reference to superpowers getting neutralized, which is the exact same thing that Bill talks about in the same scene of this movie.
There's the superhero and there's the alter ego. Batman is actually Bruce Wayne. Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker. When that character wakes up in the morning, he's Peter Parker. He has to put on a costume to become Spider-Man.
Wow.
That characteristic, Superman stands alone. Superman didn't become Superman. Superman was born Superman. When Superman wakes up in the morning, he's Superman. His outfit with the big red S. That's the blanket he was wrapped in.
All
as a
of this
baby
was
when
going
the
over
kids
my
found
head
him.
in the movie.
Those are his clothes.
Bill describes the alter ego of superheroes who require a costume to become that character. This is exactly what Kendrick does in most of this record, as he strategically picks Drake's character apart. Bill then goes on to point out that Superman is always Superman. When he wakes up in the morning, he does not have a character, he was born Superman. Now, as we move further into this track, and as Kendrick alludes to Drake being a fraud, Kendrick is saying that when it comes to hip-hop, he is Superman. He was born this person in the culture that Drake impersonates with no need for a costume.
Wow.
So when Kendrick refers to superpowers becoming neutralized, he is essentially saying that in this track and in this war, he is removing the costume from Drake to expose his true identity. And speaking of beef, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Cook Unity.
Oh!
Cook Unity is the first chef-to-consumer platform.
Shout out to you. Make your money.
Now, on to the other meanings behind the title. The track is titled Euphoria, and the artwork gives a clear definition of what that means. Secondly, the artwork then also provides an example of the word euphoria being used in an actual sentence where it states, "They had almost a week to recover from the euphoria of Tuesday's series-winning victory, and Kendrick dropped the track on a Tuesday, alluding to how this record is giving him a win, also a reference to his upcoming tracks as well." Furthermore, Drake executive produced the hit show Euphoria, a show depicting the lives of teenagers who find themselves in very adult-like situations.
Damn, I miss Euphoria.
Therefore, this reference is also clearly with respect to the ongoing rumors that Drake is into much younger women. However, the title is even more deeper than that. I'm talking about the studied phenomenon where people experience a state of euphoria before they die. This is by far the most strategic use of the title, as this is exactly what happened to Drake. Euphoria is in every sense of the word a bait track.
Oh, shoot.
Look at how confident Drake was. Like, Kendrick fucking knew. He had all those records recorded. Done, ready, waiting. Kendrick knew that Drake felt he had a slam dunk in his beef. He knew that when Drake dropped the Family Matters track, that Drake would have been living on a high, feeling like he won, leaving Drake in a state of euphoria.
And if I could speak just for a quick second, that's also why the conversation about when people are playing like not like us, and the conversation is like, okay, y'all are dragging it, whatever. That is so funny to me, because if y'all remember when Push-Ups and Taylor Made dropped, do y'all remember how hard people were going, talking about Kendrick's on the shot clock, hurry up, drop. Oh, he ain't got nothing in the tuck, blase, blah, insufferable. Oh my God, insufferable. So now that the conversation is like, oh my God, y'all still talk about this little rap beef, like, blows my mind, because like how the tables have turned, babes. How the tables have turned. The conversation was so oh my God. Okay, sorry, back to the video.
However, just like when people experience euphoria moments before they die, this is exactly what Kendrick did to Drake, strategically releasing a showstopper record just moments after Drake dropped. And look, you don't have to believe me, but I had this as a prediction in this script before any of those records even came out. I truly made the connection that Drake would experience a great deal of euphoria from that release, only to have it taken away by Kendrick. And it sucks that I couldn't get the video out in time, but seeing it all come true really just lets me know that all the time and effort that I put into this shit really does hold some weight.
Come on.
So this was literally all part of his plan. The long wait, the being quiet, like making Drake believe that he had the upper hand. Strategy, chess. Fucking phenomenal.
Sheesh.
With the title out of the way, I've seen some theories bouncing around that are trying to support the claims of Drake being involved with younger women through the use of the date that the record dropped, April 30th, also known as National Children's Day.
Oh!
It's a holiday in Mexico, like not It's not an American holiday. I don't see the significance.
Not the Neos.
Then we got the theory of Kendrick holding back the record to drop it on the date that the funny mustache man was killed.
Y'all did say that.
And given the fact that Drake is of that faith, people seem to think that something is also here.
Now, I would like to
make
think
any
it's
sense.
not.
Like the funny mustache man, when he died, that was like one of the best things to ever happen for that religion. Quite literally the ending of suffering. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Outside of the date, the time that the record dropped was 8:24 p.m., which is an ode to Kobe Bryant, who wore the numbers 8 and 24.
Euphoria is glorified and made his.
That one does make sense. So we looked at the title, we looked at the date, the time. Now let's look at the beat selection. Structurally, the track is broken up into 3 parts with 3 different beats, which is deliberate and very clever, as Kendrick plays off one of his hardest lines from Like That.
First person shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches. I crash out.
I hope they come with 3 switches, and then he comes with 3 switches. Like, that's tough. The first beat is important for me to mention, as Kendrick samples a track from Teddy Pendergrass called You're My Latest, My Greatest Inspiration.
Great song.
More beautiful than the Mona Lisa.
Now, I've seen some outrageous rumors being spread that Teddy Pendergrass had previous allegations of messing with kids that are not only completely unsubstantiated, but documented absolutely nowhere.
Who lying on Teddy Pendergrass's name? Who said that? That's a rumor? Not Teddy? Where did that come from? Oh, wow. I have never... Not Marvin Gaye. Where do these rumors come from? Okay, let's keep going. I've never heard that before.
While my primary focus is breaking down this record, in doing this, I feel obligated to point out things that are just blatantly untrue.
Okay.
And look, I know Teddy had his fair share of scandals, but to just be pulling this information out of your ass and throwing it up online, especially when it comes to claims like this, like, you should probably stop doing that.
That's wild.
However, interestingly enough, Teddy covered a song by Drake's uncle Larry Graham, who is
Lord.
a Hall of Fame inducted musician. Now, you can best believe that this is not a coincidence, and there's a deeper meaning behind the use of this sample. I'm just unclear of what that could be. Outside of that, Teddy Pendergrass did get in a car accident which left him paralyzed in a wheelchair, just like the character that Drake played on Degrassi. And Drake's uncle has an accolade that is better than any award or plaque, any of that shit. Like, he's known for inventing the slap technique at a bass. Like, that is crazy, bro. Kendrick starts out the track with a small intro that has an excerpt played in reverse from the 1978 film The Wiz.
Euphoria.
Real quick, I thought the sample My Latest and Greatest Inspiration was a play on the title, like Drake talking to Kendrick, saying that Kendrick is his latest and greatest inspiration. No? Is that a reach? I didn't even pick up the wheelchair business in Jimmy. Maybe that's something in there. I don't know. I didn't pick up the little wheelchair business. Wow. Okay, let's keep going. Sorry.
The
other
film
way around.
reimagines the 1900 novel and 1939 film The Wizard of Oz in the perspective of African Americans. Kendrick uses this to symbolize that what he's about to craft is for the culture, something he believes Drake simply isn't a part of. He really drives this home, as in the context of this movie, Kendrick is comparing Drake to the Wizard, who is played by Richard Pryor. Pryor's Wizard is initially looked at as someone who is feared and respected. He uses technology and trickery to maintain his illusion of power, but is soon discovered to be a fraud. This goes back to Kendrick and removing the costume from Drake's character. The Wizard is exposed when the blanket is pulled back, revealing that he's not powerful at all, and manipulated people into believing that he was.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Everything they say about me is true. I'm a phony. I got no powers. I got no right to be pretending to be the Wiz.
Much like the Wizard, Kendrick looks at Drake as someone who uses industry connections, fame, collaborations, fashion, hairstyle, and even technology like social media to fool people into believing that he is a person of the culture.
Everything they say about me is true.
When brought back to its original form, the line is extremely important to the overall theme of this record. Everything they say about me is true, the key word being they.
Not they.
As you'll see later in this record, Kendrick does not present much new information with respect to Drake, mostly reciting pre-existing things that people have already said within the culture, aka things that they said.
Ooh.
By not exposing anything new, many people took this as a weakness, but this is quite literally Kendrick's entire strategy with this record.
This man is nuts.
Basically, Kendrick is demonstrating that Drake has been exposed so many times that he doesn't even need to reveal anything new,
Ooh.
as he packages all the already existing info and presents it as being more than enough to remove Drake's costume.
Please with this
So it's
picture.
critical to point out that
Please.
in the phrase, everything they say about me is true, the term they is representing the culture that is hip-hop. So all that right there is the framework and entire setup of the theme of this record. Literally.
This
Another
is
obvious
insane.
meaning behind Kendrick's choice of quoting the Wiz is the fact that it is an African-American cult classic,
And is.
which is likely what Kendrick watched as a child. Whereas someone like Drake, growing up with a white mother, probably only watched the original.
Where are you pulling these photos, babes? I understand the edits, but now it's getting filthy with the edits. It's actually getting filthy.
Original Wizard of Oz, which had no black actors whatsoever.
Show did it.
Superpowers get neutralized. I can only watch in silence.
Kendrick starts out the diss claiming that Drake's superpowers have been neutralized while he watches in silence. Circling back to the Kill Bill reference, as I've stated already, superpowers being neutralized alludes to Drake's costume being removed, exposing the fraud beneath it. The line about watching in silence
We still on the
perfectly
first
ties
bar.
into the quote from The Wiz, where Kendrick is essentially saying that he doesn't even need to speak, all he needs to do is sit back in silence, as Drake's alter ego unravels by itself
Not Jimmy.
through everything that they, the culture, says about him. DMX pointed out years ago that Drake was a fraud. Meek
RIP.
Mill exposed Drake for ghostwriters. Pusha T exposed Drake for being in blackface and hotting a child. Joe Budden alluded to underage women claims.
Now-
Rick Ross painted Drake as a cultural outsider that had plastic surgery. Tupac's estate disapproved of Drake's use of an AI Tupac, and over the years, the culture in itself has added even more into.
Now what are these little hands? Hold on. What are these little the CGI black arms banging the set? What is this?
AI Tupac, and over the years, the culture in itself has added even more into the mix.
Okay,
When it
girl.
comes to Drake and the culture that is hip hop, the people within it have already neutralized Drake's superpowers
Not the
on their
culture.
own. You'll also notice that everything I just mentioned are all things that Kendrick makes reference to on this track.
The famous actor we once knew is looking paranoid and now spiraling.
So right off rip, in the second line, Kendrick begins to chip away at Drake's hip-hop persona. This line is not just directed at Drake for being an actor on Degrassi, but as an actor within the culture that is hip-hop.
You're moving just like a degenerate. Heavy antic is feeling distasteful.
About Tupac?
This line acts as a double entendre where one, Kendrick refers to Drake as a degenerate, likely due to his internet antics and the way that he moves in general. He seemingly supports this further by labeling Drake's AI diss as a distasteful cheap
We're
gimmick.
here, we're
and
here,
secondly,
we're
he's
here.
watching Drake's career degenerate, meaning to downgrade in terms of quality and how it's being perceived.
I see why this is an hour long. This is a 6-minute track. We are barely we're barely 2 lines in. Wow, degenerate. Oh, he's good.
Why calculate you not as calculated? I can even predict your angles.
So first and foremost, Kendrick uses a play on words in a mathematics setting, referencing calculations and angles. Furthermore, he paints Drake as someone who is not as calculated as he might believe, claiming that he can predict his every move, which is exactly what he did. He predicted what Drake was going to do on the Family Matters record.
We are conspiracy theorists. I love
family
this.
front, cause you heard Mr. Morale.
In the first line, Kendrick alludes to Drake seemingly suggesting on push-ups that Kendrick's wife might have been unfaithful. Kendrick addressed his infidelity on his previous project,
Hi, Gamer,
and
hi.
he is insinuating that Drake is pulling these claims out of his ass based on that info.
What pathetic master manipulator, I can smell the tails on you now.
Kendrick is basically claiming that Drake is twisting the truth to fit a narrative that the masses will likely run with, and that he can already smell the bullshit coming.
I'm sorry, I'm pausing so much during this, but like Euphoria is like my favorite song because if you listen to Euphoria after everything has transpired, I'm not sure if he's gonna get into it, but because by the time part 6, the Heart Part 6 dropped, I don't know. But again, like this line about fabricating stories that you heard on Mr. Morale, like he outlined everything. Like Euphoria is really, yeah, okay.
Not a rap artist, you a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted.
Following the theme of the record, Kendrick continues to drive home that Drake is simply not the person who he appears to be by claiming that Drake is desperate to be accepted and that he fabricated a persona to make that happen.
Drake claims he wasn't cool in high school.
Not Katie Couric.
You know, it was, I just always felt like an outsider. I went...
Tommy Hilfiger stood out, but FUBU never had been your collection.
Nasty bar.
Kendrick claims that Drake is far more Tommy Hilfiger, a brand that is far more common in a white man's wardrobe. Furthermore, allegations were made years ago that Tommy Hilfiger was racist, not approving of different ethnicities wearing his brand. For the record, this has been proven not to be true, but it was a narrative back in the day. Kendrick claims that Drake never had any FUBU in his collection, which is a masterful line in itself, truly helping to drive home the approach with this record. FUBU is a black-owned company with the slogan, "For Us, By Us," but more importantly, FUBU is very much a hip-hop company.
FUBU, the clothes got mass appeal. They the best that ever did it. I'm just keeping the bread.
What Kendrick is really trying to drive home here is that just like FUBU, hip-hop is a culture that is for the people, by the people, and that is something that Drake has no ties to, as he is an outsider. Kendrick could also be referring to a fairly recent picture of Drake wearing FUBU, and I couldn't find any other pictures in existence where he's doing that. Now again, to be fair, which I am, Drake posted a drawing that he did from when he was a kid. It was like a cat or something, and it was wearing a FUBU hat.
Hold on, y'all. Let me move. Maybe this is Crody. Maybe this is Crody. He said this picture, he posted this a picture of when he was a kid. Like he drew this when he was a kid, or he drew this in current day. Actually, I don't know if it's a cat. It could be a rabbit. Do y'all see the buck teeth? It might be giving bunny rabbit, y'all. All right. Well, let's keep going.
So he obviously knew about the brand
or a
from
beaver.
a young age.
I make music that electrify 'em. You make music that pacify 'em.
Kendrick points out that his music electrifies people. What he means by this is his music requires people to think, as the brain generates electrical activity when it processes thoughts. This diss record in itself is proof of just how layered his music can get. Kendrick creates music about real-world issues in a very poetic way that involves a great deal of comprehension.
Nothing years.
In the case of Drake, he claims that he makes music that pacifies them. Now, when we look at the definition of pacify, it is to cause someone who is angry or upset to be calm and satisfied. This is very important because Kendrick makes music to unite and empower his people. As we've seen in the past, protesters literally use his lyrics to make a statement.
Dude, yeah.
When we look at the subject matter in a lot of Drake's music, he is making the people do the opposite, calming them down by not evoking much thought at all, making them happy and pacifying them.
Damn, that's nasty.
And this line again went over heads. Like, people were thinking that he was calling Drake's music sleepy.
We didn't like Hotline Bling.
It's way deeper than that.
All right.
However, the line also offers up another meaning, feeding into the claims of Drake being involved with younger women, as pacify could be in reference to a pacifier. This is further supported by Kendrick claiming that he could double down on the line, but in this case, he spared him.
Know you're a master manipulator and habitual liar too.
Kendrick then, for the second time, calls Drake a master manipulator, and just like in the Kill Bill reference from earlier, he claims that Drake is a habitual liar.
You are truly and utterly incapable of telling the truth, especially to me.
It's a genius chess move because he gave himself a bit of a safety net, and now we've been hearing the people talk like, oh, Drake's a liar. Kendrick said he was going to lie. That's what he's doing. He then makes reference to his own lyrics from the Heart Part 4.
But don't tell no lie about me.
I need to re-listen to the hard part for.
Don't tell a lie on me. I won't tell the truth about you.
This is another really clever reference, as many believe that it was on that track where Kendrick took aim at both Big Sean and Drake.
Oh!
The key word being truths.
I don't
plural.
remember
Like,
it.
I have more than one thing on you. Kendrick then hits Drake with a nasty beat switch.
Shoo!
When I'm driving in the car and like this beat drops, my foot just gets real heavy on the gas. Like, I start speeding.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm out the way, I'm low, okay. The island right here is remote, okay.
Kendrick plays into the narrative that Cole and Drake cultivated on their disses, that Kendrick is laying low and not selling as well as he used to. The line is also a reference to Kendrick being low in terms of his height, which is something that Drake continues to play on.
I think so.
You ain't thinking about no reaper, nigga, I'm reaping what I sow, okay.
So, as I said before, there was no way that J. Cole was coming out of this thing unscathed, and Kendrick proves this to be correct, as he has some more bars for Cole here. I don't think any of us could forget J. Cole's verse on Johnny P's Caddy.
Nigga want me on the song, he gon' see the wrath of the reaper.
It was in this verse where J. Cole really started to reshape the narrative of who was the best, and Kendrick takes the chance to flip one of Cole's hardest lines to make it clear that J. Cole is not the Reaper, and unlike Cole, who apologized, Kendrick was going to follow through in his beef, reaping what he sowed. I said this 2 months ago. I thought that J. Cole was taking shots at Kendrick on Johnny P's Caddy. I do think he is talking to someone.
I've never even heard that song.
I feel like is Kendrick Lamar. And Kendrick thought the same thing. I mean, there's a reason why he's referencing that record in particular.
Got a Benjamin and a Jackson all in my house like I'm Joe, okay.
So Kendrick really starts to put his pen on display. He makes reference to Benjamins and Jacksons, alluding to how he has plenty of money. This is likely a rebuttal to Drake's claims on push-ups regarding Kendrick's contract splits. However, the line is also in reference to Joe Jackson, who is Michael Jackson's father.
And Ben the rat.
It's interesting to note that Michael Jackson also had a pet rat named Ben.
Come on.
Michael Jackson was weird from the jump. In this beef, the Michael Jackson and Prince thing just gets flipped and rebutted over and over again. And in this case, he's either calling Drake a rat or someone in his team a rat, or both.
Hellcat, met his homeboys in them types LA solo, okay.
There are multiple layers.
I feel like there's been so many shots to Michael Jackson throughout this entire thing. Like, hold on. So, not too much, please. Hold on. Not too much on MJ. Hold on. Okay, let me rewind because I was giggling. Let's go.
Named Ben. Michael Jackson was weird from the jump. In this beef, the Michael Jackson and Prince thing just gets flipped and rebutted over and over again. And in this case, he's either calling Drake a rat or someone in his team a rat, or both.
Hellcat, met his homeboys in them types LA solo, okay.
There are multiple layers to this line alone. Kendrick brings up the Hellcat, which is a sports car trim for Dodge, but also by definition, a Hellcat is a spiteful, violent woman.
What?
Kendrick cleverly plays with the word hell, making it seem that Drake and his associates all sold their soul while simultaneously calling Drake a bitch. But in the next line, there's even more layers.
Everybody wanna be demon till they get chipped by your throwaway.
Kendrick continues the clever wordplay with his usage of the word demon, as the demon is a trim level above the Hellcat for Dodge cars. The use of the word chipped refers to the demon being chipped out so that it has specific programming tailored to its performance.
What?
Kendrick also uses the word demon as a play on Future's middle name, Demon, and references one of Future's tracks.
Future got a nasty name. I'm sorry, he does. Navidius Demon Cash. Like, come on. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes, but I did hear this theory, though, about his middle name. Sorry. It's just such a name. It's a lot of things going on. But yes, I did also hear this theory. I wasn't picking up. His last name is Mr. Cash. I didn't. Demunion. Like your car being hit by a lesser car. Low key, it is giving a little bit of Greek god. Low key it is. Sensational. Let's keep going. Sorry. Spell casting words. Come on, y'all. Oh, okay. So he's saying that Future has a song called Throwaway. Let me rewind. I'm giggling again.
Demon as a play on Future's middle name, Demon, and references one of Future's tracks, Throwaway.
Gone for the nigga, get it over with. Gone for the nigga, get it over with.
Go and pet that puppy, get it over with. I always change the lyrics and sing that song to my dog. And being chipped by a throwaway is also a reference to being taken out by a gun, as when you commit a crime with a pistol, you throw away the piece to eliminate any evidence.
Only a
Furthermore,
dog.
being chipped by a throwaway is also in reference to Kendrick's track Like That, which is what sparked this entire thing. And what's even more nuts is that the Like That track was Future's record, the guy that he already referenced within the line. Kendrick is essentially saying that the verse that shook the world was a throwaway verse, it was effortless, and it was nothing for him to do. However, while on the topic of Future and throwaways, a throwaway is also a woman that you just hit and toss to the side.
Oh.
And as we all know, Future accused Drake of pillow talking, so it's very possible that the woman that Drake trusted to share secrets with was one of Future's throwaways, so therefore, he got chipped by a throwaway.
Y'all are saying it's given a reach. We're not feeling this. I don't know. He kind of lost me for this one, to be honest. I don't know. I was more so buying everybody want to be a demon until they get chipped by a throwaway. The theory about everyone want to be a demon, that being about Future, and then the song Throwaway, that makes more sense to me. But everything else, was it the rap part? But everything else I'm kind of lost about. I don't know. There might be reaches here and there. I do feel that. Not reaches, Christ. Oh, you're saying it's not a reach? You're saying he's thinking too much about the layers? Okay, let's keep going.
But the line is even crazier than that.
More?
I need you guys to remember Drake's recent track with J. Cole called Evil Ways, as it was on that track where Cole had subliminals for Kendrick.
I stay out of beef, see niggas DNA get rearranged.
And to make this even more obvious, it's on that exact same track where J. Cole claims that he is going through his demon phase.
Young angel going through his demon phase.
So when Kendrick says everybody want to be a demon until they get chipped by a throwaway, that's a bullet for both Drake and J. Cole. In the case of Drake, he ended off his push-ups track by claiming not to wake the demon up.
This ain't even everything I know, don't wake the demon up.
True.
In the case of J. Cole, he claimed to be in his demon phase, but quite literally got chipped by a throwaway when he got entirely bent at his shape and apologized for his diss that Kendrick didn't even open his mouth for, and then proceeded to delete it. J. Cole's diss was a throwaway. He fucking deleted it. Everyone clowned him for it. You got chipped by a throwaway.
Everybody wanna be demon till they get chipped by your throwaway.
This is extremely high-level writing. Like, that line is fucking nuts.
And I might do a show a day. Once a lame, always a lame.
In the first line, Kendrick claims that he might do a show a day, possibly referencing J. Cole's diss when he said this.
And he's still doing shows, but fell off like The Simpsons.
The Simpsons has 765 episodes, and still to this day, TV channels are playing their episodes daily.
They sure are.
Kendrick is claiming that, like The Simpsons, he could also do a show every single day and likely even sell it out. So I'm hoping you guys can see the theme now in verse 1, where these last chunk of lines weren't just directed at Drake, but J. Cole as well.
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
The next sequence of lines is directed at Drake, claiming that Drake has always been a loser, and even after all the money, power, and fame, he's still the same person.
Oh.
The line is also a callback to his verse on Like That, where instead of the word fame, he uses the word respect.
BOT, the money, power, respect. The last one is better.
Kendrick deliberately changes the words to reference Drake's confusion of thinking that fame amounts to respect, when in fact they are two different things.
Have you ever played? Have you ever? Okay, nigga, let's play.
Kendrick then goes into a game of Have You Ever, but I also see this approach as Kendrick framing the questions somewhat like a therapy session.
Have you ever watched your enemy down like with a poker face?
Kendrick's reason for doing this is to highlight the cultural differences between them. Imagine Drake and Kendrick are playing a game of Have You Ever, where the questions are all about things Kendrick witnessed or was directly involved with growing up. Drake probably wouldn't have much to say because he can't relate to Kendrick's experiences.
Have you ever paid $500,000 like to an open
But this
In
one,
the second line, he alludes to Drake having to pay $500,000 to a woman that accused him of sexual assault.
Sheesh.
And I know the article says $350K, but when you transfer that into our shitty Canadian dollar, it's pretty close.
I hate when I rap or talk about guns, then somebody died, they turn into nuns.
Again, there are a lot of cultural references layered within this track, and Kendrick's approach to lines like this one is to point out the stark differences between himself and Drake.
Okay.
Kendrick has spoken on gun violence in his music before and does it in a way that is very tactful, pushing to influence change. When we look at an artist like Drake, while he does have some lines that speak on gun violence in a way that could be helpful, he has far more gun-related bars that do the opposite. Then when we look at some of the alleged crimes that are connected to Drake and his inner circle...
What is...
Then when we...
Who is this? What is this TMZ footage? What? Oh, need a little caption on it. Who can't jump?
Look at some of the alleged crimes that are connected to Drake and his inner circle, which could be a whole other video in itself. Kendrick is essentially painting Drake as someone that really doesn't care to make any strides towards change, and that when he does speak up, it's more of a PR move.
Then I hop online, like pray for my city, he faking for likes and digital hugs.
Passed down by elders. People don't even know about the logistics of the beef or.
Everybody got a stick, we don't run fast.
And look, guys, there is a theory out there that's claiming these lines are directed at Jay Prince and the death of Takeoff, and that's pretty heavy shit. You guys already know I don't do that type of content on the channel. I just kind of keep it to the music.
His daddy a killer, he wanna be junior, they must have forgot the shit that they done.
Okay, but are we gonna talk about it though? I feel like some of this was Jay Prince related, was it not?
Alright, so this line is fucking insane, and everyone missed some key references. First off, this is a shot towards Drake's actual father, Dennis. Unlike his brother Larry Jr., who had a very successful music career, Drake's dad's career was far more lackluster. So when Kendrick says that he wanted to be like Jr., it's obvious that Dennis wanted a career that was as successful as his older brother, but that just didn't happen. To add the cherry on top, Drake's grandfather, who went by Larry Sr., was also a musician, so Larry Jr. quite literally took the reins and not Dennis. Then when we look at the fact that Drake's dad has literally tried to ignite his own career by piggybacking off Drake's success, it makes even more sense. Even on his official website, the promotions are not even tagged as Dennis Graham, but as Drake's dad.
Oh, wow.
You gotta hit the like button for that one. Come on. The next reference was also missed by pretty much everyone, and given the fact that I watched The Sopranos in full at least 10 times, I caught this one right away. Now you're gonna listen to me, Christopher. This is a fucking business. Sorry, that's just my favorite show. In The Sopranos, just like his father before him, Tony wanted to be the boss and overtake his Uncle Junior's place. The line about forgetting shit that they say is a reference to Uncle Junior, who constantly begins to forget everything and eventually develops dementia, which is something that Kendrick mentions in the very next line. Drop a comment for me, come on. Thirdly, Kendrick refers to Birdman as Drake's dad, as he was signed under him for Cash Money, and Birdman does have a slew of allegations with respect to being a killer. There's quite a few of Cash Money artists who have just mysteriously been murdered. So in the Birdman scenario, the reference to Junior is with respect to Lil Wayne, who once literally called Birdman his dad, and of course Drake took a lot of influence from Wayne, more or less aspiring to be just like him. But there's even more to it than that. That's not it. The last reference is to Texas hip-hop legend Jay Prince.
Now we're here.
Someone that Drake considers his mob ties.
Now we're here.
And in this context, Junior refers to his son, Jay Prince Jr. The line is fucking nuts. Like, it's 16 words that give you 4 deep meanings that are all very relevant. It's a crazy line.
The very first time I shot me a Drake, the homie told me to aim it this way.
This line is one of the more surface level bars. Kendrick is referring to shooting a Draco, which is a gun, but also sounds like Drake's name, like he's shooting Drake.
I didn't point down enough. Today I show you I learned from those mistakes.
Lastly, he claims that he needs to aim the gun down, which is in reference to Drake being beneath him.
Somebody had told me that you got a ring. On God, I'm ready to double the weight.
Tupac's
Drake
ring.
purchased Tupac's custom diamond ring at an auction for over $1 million. Now, Kendrick being from the West Coast and a huge fan of Pac.
These are such Tumblr-ass pictures. Sorry. They are. It's very Tumblr era. It is. I love him down though, but it's giving
claims
Tumblr.
He's willing to buy it back from Drake for double the price, just so it's not in his possession.
I'd rather do that than let a Canadian nigga make Pac turn in his grave.
And it's very possible that Drake bought that ring just to be petty. Very possible. It is a pretty clever line because by saying that Pac would turn in his grave over the ring, Kendrick is also insinuating that Pac would have been pissed and would have never approved of Drake's AI gimmick.
Right.
What is it, the Braids?
So again, more cultural references here as Kendrick continues to chip away at Drake, pegging him as an outsider in the culture. Kendrick asked Drake if he has shit twisted, alluding to Drake's new hairstyle, which is indeed braided. He confirms this even more with the next line when he says, "What is it, the braids?" Something that I've grown to accept over the years is the fact that I'm never going to have braids, you know? And now, tough pill to swallow, but I feel like Drake's braids are just too tight. But he...
Okay. He didn't cover the Park his son. I was also waiting for that breakdown too, but he didn't talk about that. That was interesting to me. Let's keep going. I'm sorry. I was a little distracted.
And now, tough pill to swallow, but I feel like Drake's braids are just too tight. But he's not just talking about Drake's hairstyle, but his own. Kendrick has been known to rock braids himself and uses this as a reference and cultural construct to highlight just how rooted he is to the culture. Braids are an integral part of Black and African culture. The tradition has been passed down through generations to celebrate and honor one's ancestral roots. And most of you guys know this stuff already, but trust me, there are people watching this that don't know. Like, they don't know that at one point, people were losing their jobs left, right, and center for just natural black hair. So
still are, babes, still are.
And it still happens today.
Thank you.
I've seen lawsuits in recent years of it still happening.
Let me say here, okay.
It was in the 1960s where braids and natural hair became a huge thing during the Black Power movement. It was quite literally used as a statement and as an expression against white supremacy and anti-blackness. So in the case of Drake, as it pertains...
Please, with this photo, I cannot see it yet again. Please. Please, with this photo. Free us from this photo, please, I beg.
This line, Kendrick is painting him as being jealous and envious of what he represents culturally.
That's interesting.
The braids are only used to reference Kendrick's own identity and his deep-seated roots to African American culture.
That's interesting.
Something that Drake wishes he had and attempts to emulate. He continues to drive this home by claiming that Drake doesn't want to work with him anymore. And it all ties perfectly into the overall theme of this record to further support Drake's longing for acceptance, but never fully getting it.
What is it, the braids? I hurt your feelings, you don't work with me no more, okay.
Everyone that I've seen cover this, like, this went over their heads. They were claiming that this line was about Drake's braids only, but it's a far deeper cultural reference than that. Like, he's referring to himself in the context of African American culture and what that represents. And again, he's removing the mask from Drake. Like, the braids for Drake is part of the costume. Lastly, the line is most definitely in reference to Kendrick's Control verse, where Drake claimed that he didn't want to work with Kendrick after the diss dropped.
Does it make you like not want to collab with him?
Yeah, I'm good right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just about this album and me, and you know, I don't know necessarily if I feel like 100% like I'm not like
I hurt your feelings, you don't want to work with me no more. Okay. Y'all remind me, what year did the Control diss drop? Was it 2012? 2013. So to Pimp a Butterfly, Poetic Justice, that already happened because that was 2012, right? So this was after. Oh, this is interesting.
Like, man, send me some, let's work. Like, nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, sorry, not to Pimp a Butterfly, Good Kid, Mad City. My bad, y'all. I got my albums mixed up. My fault, y'all. My fault.
About this album and me, and you know, I don't know necessarily if I feel like 100% like I'm not like, man, send me some, let's work. Like, nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's 3 ghosts left, and I see 2 of them kissing and hugging on stage.
Again, J. Cole catches some bullets along with Drake.
Oh, maybe it wasn't.
Kendrick makes reference to the Big Three first-person shooter and Drake and J. Cole's tour that they did, where they literally hugged on stage. And he's also talking about how they act when they bring each other on stage, like as a guest, where J. Cole be like, Drizzy Drake is in the building, way better than me. This guy's way better than me. And then Drake will be like, I got the GOAT in the building, J. Cole, his pen I can't fuck with, way better than me. And like Kendrick's just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not on that type of time. I don't know what these guys are doing.
Oh, I think I'm dumb. Someone had a theory. 2 goats left kissing and hugging on stage. I was buying into the Jay-Z and Beyonce. Am I dumb? I said, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Only 2 goats left and they're kissing and hugging on stage. I said, oh, yeah. Is it not? Nobody else saw that conspiracy theory and was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Oh. Sometimes it do be ice cream music up here. That's fine. I'll take that, you know. Turn it on. Turn it on! They all can't be wins, okay?
What the fuck? Like, I'm not on that type of time. I don't know what these guys are doing.
I love them to death.
Protect me!
Boss, I'll explain their phrase.
I really like this line. He claims to love Drake and J. Cole to death, but then proceeds to tell them that he's going to elaborate more on that in the next 8 bars.
Nobody can tell me. I don't want to talk on no celly.
Personally, with this one, I believe he is talking directly to J. Cole, who felt extremely bad about his diss and very likely tried to make contact with Kendrick to try to smooth things over. I mean, Kendrick is in war mode. Like, he's not trying to hear all that right now. He's in a different space, but I think they will end up coming together in the near future. And we're finally going to get some music from these guys together.
You know I got language barriers. It's no
Kendrick and J. Cole?
At this point, we have literally heard multiple accents from Drake. There's the UK Drake.
Wake it
Just
up.
like that one time at Cello, a good thing, man, we're pulling out phones.
The
Receipts
UA
is
Jamaican
nasty.
used Jafakin Drake.
More
Jafakin.
tune for your head top, so watch how you speak on my name, you know?
Thing set, the thing dead, and trust me, headshot them bomb.
Then there's the Toronto accent Drake.
You guys make me sick to my stomachs, fam. This didn't exist before we were here. Look around at the square, I promise you right now.
Then we got the Caucasian Drake.
Just one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. Scrabble champion.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's just she's a top shelf lady.
The New York Drake.
Try and show out with none of the study. I don't really do what other people do, like, or true religion. I don't really do that stuff, you know what I'm saying? But
Look, if you're confused, don't worry.
Wow.
So am I, but here's how he actually talks right here.
Ash, forget it. Look, can we just break up and get...
He is petty. I thought I was petty. Not you pulling up Degrassi footage. Oh, he's nasty. Oh, he is nasty. Oh, wow.
Get this over with.
And people are going to say that I'm hating on Drake. I'm not hating on Drake. I'm a massive fan of Drake. But you can't deny that these things exist. Like,
That's
this
true.
is what Kendrick's talking about.
That
is it
is
not?
true.
It was Joe Budden that actually said the exact same thing in one of his disses towards Drake.
Say Canadian, maybe Asian, Croatian, be sounding like it's Jamaican friend.
What year was this? Joe Budden had beef with Drake? When was this? 2016? Where have I been? What? Where have I been at? It went under the radar. It must have. I have never. They had beef? Is it? Nobody talks about it because it's Joe Budden? Is that what it is? Joe Budden cooked his ass, but it's Joe, so nobody talks about it ever. Wow. He made a comment dissing Joe Budden. 2016, where was I at? I know Joe Budden for Pump It Up. I did not know he dropped 5 diss songs in one night. What? Joe Budden was the first person to talk about Drake's fake abs? What? Oh, wow. Yeah, I 5. He exposed the fake abs? And he talked about a nose job? I'm not going to listen to the diss records, but wow, I am blown away. I did not know. Okay, let me rewind.
This is toward...
Oh, Drake said he was a one-hit wonder. That's how it started. Well, let me rewind. Okay, let's keep going. Well, okay.
Joe Budden that actually said the exact same thing in one of his disses towards Drake.
In the sense that
Canadian, maybe Asian, Croatian, be sounding like it's Jamaican friends, depending on what state he in.
And look, if we're going to talk about writing and punchlines and quotables and personals, like this diss track from Joe was one of the best Drake disses that we've seen.
You're cold and Aubrey, no, I'm a selfish nigga. The crown is heavy.
So again, notice he calls him Aubrey. That is the theme. That's who he's talking to on the record, not Drake. Coming off the Like That track, Kendrick made it clear that he doesn't care about the big three and that he's down to ride solo with the Crown. Now, the Crown, to be specific, has been something that all three of these guys have referenced in their music at one point or another. In the case of J. Cole,
Aiming at a couple heads, bitch, I'm crown hunting. At the top playing keep away with the crown.
and no different for Drake.
Take my crown to the grave, I'm an underground king. They never told me when you get the crown.
Oh, I used to love this album.
And it was in this line where Kendrick even quoted himself talking about the Crown. However, this moment in this era will act as the deciding factor on whose head the crown belongs on, and Kendrick seems to understand the mission as there's no friends when it comes to his end goal. He really drives this home with the YNW Melly reference, where Melly was accused of murdering his own friend.
I love this bar.
I pray they my real friends, if not, I'm YNW Melly.
What's also interesting to note is that YNW Melly took to Instagram a month ago to make claims that he felt Kendrick took shots at him.
He got found in jail? Kendrick Lamar, I thought we were cool. I sent you my vocals for your record. Come on, OG, I'm innocent. Free me. How did he? What you mean you made an Instagram post a month ago? He was found not guilty. Was he? I thought who am I? I'm thinking about TK. Because TK said that he really did that, right? I'm mixing my people up. Huh. Not he's on the loose. Wait, is he said free me from the cell? I'm thinking TK. I thought he also did the killing. Oh, it was declared a mistrial, really? He got a flip phone with Instagram on it in jail. Bye, Velma. Come on, let's keep going. Bye. Bye, not a flip phone.
Not on YNW Melly.
What's also interesting to note is that YNW Melly took to Instagram a month ago to make claims that he felt Kendrick took shots at him on the Like That record.
Crash out like fuck rap, this Melly Mel if I had to.
I don't see the connection. Like, to me, this line is clearly about Melly Mel, but he does mention his name on this record.
I don't like you popping shit at Pharrell for him.
What?
With the beef. Yeah, fuck all that pushing.
Wait, what? Melly Mel was about Melly Mel. It didn't have anything to do with YNW Melly. I thought now we're going back. I thought on Like That, I thought he was saying he'll crash out. What did he say? Fuck rap, I'll crash out, diss Melly Mel. I thought like I'll crash out and diss him like fuck rap because Melly Mel was like a OG coming up, right? I thought my head hurts. We keep right. He dissed one of the founders of rap, right? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay, right. Okay, so I don't know why he's going back and forth. Okay, we're here. We see each other. Okay, I'm here, y'all.
I see the connection. Like, to me, this line is clearly about Melly Mel, but he does mention his name on this record.
I don't like you popping shit at Pharrell for him. I inherit the beef. Yeah, fuck all that pushing P. Let me see you push a T.
Drake sent subliminal shots at Pharrell in 2023 on Travis Scott's Meltdown. Now, I'm not going to break down his shots towards Pharrell in this video because that will be off topic, but I do believe the true reason for the tension is because of Pharrell's production work on Pusha T's last album.
No.
So Pusha's last album had 12 tracks on it, and 8 of them were produced by Pharrell, and it's one of my favorite albums of the last 4 or 5 years. Amazing album. Kendrick claims that he's got no issue inheriting the beef on Pharrell's behalf, telling Drake to stop pushing P, meaning leave Pharrell alone. The phrase is also, of course, something that was popular.
Can I call it reach? My understanding is he'll inherit the beef because, to my understanding, the beef was inherited because back in the day, correct me if I'm wrong, Was it Birdman and Pharrell that were beefing originally? One of them were beefing originally. Somebody didn't get paid for their money, and then Pharrell started beefing with Lil Wayne because the song Mr. Me Too, and he was everything got you saying Me Too, right? Because Lil Wayne started wearing a Bape and all that, right? Birdman didn't pay Pharrell, right? And so Pharrell started beefing with Lil Wayne at some point, and I thought inherited the beef because Drake and Lil Wayne, he inherited the, am I somewhere? Am I reaching? It was the What Happened to That Boy song. I'm trying to keep up. Are we here? Are we here? Okay. Then Drake got on it later when he joined Cash Money. Right. What's up, Fear the Deer? I'm somewhere. It's tying together. It's all over the place, but it's somewhere. Okay. You said Birdman doesn't pay people. He's like the reason for generational beefs. And then Pharrell said Lil Wayne copied this style, right, on Mr. Me Too, right. It's crazy how all this comes back to Birdman. Drake took shots at Pusha T first, even though Pusha only had issues with Wayne and Baby. Plus, Pharrell is now creative director at Louis Vuitton after Virgil. That's a good point, too. Right. We're here. We see each other, y'all. We're somewhere, but we're here. The gears are turning. Okay, I like this. I like where we're at. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going, y'all.
The rise by Gunna through his hit record, Pushin' P.
I'm Push P.
However, the line holds even more depth as Drake referenced the phrase in a song himself.
Steady pushing P, you niggas pushing PTSD.
To explain a little better, the phrase Pushin' P basically means keeping it player, acting with integrity whilst staying successful. In this scenario, Kendrick tells Drake to forget about the integrity and hits Drake in a sore spot by bringing up his infamous loss to Pusha T. Drake allegedly had a career-ending red button diss for Pusha, to which Jay Prince shut down as he said Drake was taking it too far.
You know, my reasons for pulling the plug and having that conversation with him simply because it crossed the line of music.
So in the case of this...
That's what I thought Pushin' P was for, because in court, they said Pushin' P was pushing positivity. Does that no longer apply? Did we change? Did y'all see that during the Young Thug trial? They said it meant pushing positivity. And I said, yeah.
Beef with
yeah.
Pusha, Drake more or less took the high road, maintaining integrity, which is technically Pushin' P. However, I also feel the words, "Let me see you push a T," has a couple meanings. One, he's clowning Drake regarding his loss to Pusha and egging him on to clear up unfinished business.
Right.
And two, he's asking Drake to push the red button on that track that he held back because of Jay Prince. Drake's been talking about his red button for a while. I don't think he has one for Kendrick, but I think he's got something for Kanye and Pusha.
Yay.
Again on him, you think about pushing me. He's Terrence Thornton, I'm Terrence Crawford. Yeah, I'm whooping feet.
Again, Kendrick brings up Drake's unfinished business with Pusha T, alluding to the L that he took. He then uses Pusha's real name, Terrence Thornton, and while he does clearly acknowledge that Pusha is dope, he claims that he's a far more deadly competitor,
Such a nasty
calling
dance.
himself Terrence Crawford, who is an undefeated boxer. I found it pretty funny because in that clip of him training, Drake's music is playing in the background.
We ain't gotta get personal.
Not moment for life.
You should keep it that way. I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint.
Kendrick begins to warn Drake and recommend that he should keep this battle light, but then he uses Gunna's reputation as a snitch to imply that Drake is an even bigger rat.
This rat?
This ain't been about critics, not about gimmicks, not about who the greatest. It's always been about love and hate. Now let me say I'm the biggest hater.
Kendrick claims that at this point, this thing is not even about who's the greatest. It's about his hatred for Drake, which is exactly what I said 5 months ago, before any of this was even close to what we're seeing now.
Talk your
I've
shit.
said it multiple times on this channel. Like, he just does not like Drake. Kendrick then goes into an all-out hate Drake rant.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress.
So again, as I mentioned before, the theme of this record for Kendrick is to bring up things that other people in the culture have said.
DMX.
And in this case, he's referencing DMX's thoughts
We
about
knew that,
Drake.
y'all. We were on it. We were on it.
I don't like anything about Drake.
We were on it.
I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I don't.
We were on it. We said this. So for Drake to post that 10 Things I Hate About You video, please.
I be trying to tell these face. I don't like the way he walks like nothing. I don't like his haircut.
I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct.
At first, this line
We were on it,
confused
y'all.
me because Kendrick is known to sneak diss himself, but the more I thought about it, he says he hates the way that Drake sneak disses. When it comes to Kendrick and sending shots, his subliminals are usually caught by everyone right away, as he makes it pretty obvious who he's talking to. However, in the case of Drake, he goes about it in an entirely different way, where he sneak disses people to the point where only his intended target picks up on it. Kendrick likely despises this approach because it limits being able to respond to where the people would even understand where it originated from.
He hate the bitches you fuck cause they confuse themselves with real women.
Kendrick then takes a shot at Drake for the women that he sleeps with. This could be in reference to him being involved with younger females, or the fact that Drake likely sleeps with the fakest, dumbest, self-absorbed women imaginable.
Why are they catching strays?
It's not just me.
Oh my
I'm
God.
what the culture feeling.
Very ruthless and direct line from Kendrick,
they
just
catch
like
strays?
the line from the Wiz, everything they say about me.
Why did the girlies catch strays? Was it necessary? You didn't have to pull their pictures. Come on now. Damn.
Is true, and just like the Kill Bill theory, Kendrick is dishing out what he feels to be undisputed
Not
truth.
Clark says, I mean.
I call it the undisputed truth.
First Michael Jackson.
Now, when he
this.
says, I'm what the culture feeling, it has two meanings where one, the culture agrees with what he's saying on this record, and two, the culture is literally feeling Kendrick as they have embraced him as the face to carry the genre.
How many more fairy tale stories about your life till we had enough? How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough?
Kendrick starts to lay it on heavy and begins to deconstruct Drake's
Dragon.
character.
A good
He
old
references
fashioned
fairy
dragon.
tales about his life, which is most definitely regarding the subject matter of Drake's music over the years, where he tends to personify a tough guy act. He then questions Drake on how many black features does he need, which has a great deal of depth culturally.
Not Gucci.
If we look at black art throughout history, the white man has been guilty of profiting, stealing, and claiming things as their own.
Oh, he's going there.
Not only is Kendrick claiming that Drake hops from wave to wave to gain notoriety, he's strategically lumping him in with what is commonly done by outsiders and executives who use people in the culture for their own benefit. On one of Joe Budden's disses to Drake, he broke this down really well.
Do I need to listen to this song?
Taking waves over, that's territorial takeover.
So right away, this is exactly what Kendrick's talking about.
Maybe you think nobody notices. Gucci wasn't home 2 seconds before you wrote his dick.
Joseph Budden said this? Oh, wow. I was not outside, y'all. I was not. What song did Drake and Gucci have together? What song was that? Why do I not remember? Both. Why don't I remember both? They got a couple songs together? I don't really do this because I'm drunk, but I'm high, but I'm both. Wow. Yeah, I'm both. Wow. I forgot all about that song. Zium. Not me want to pull up a damn Joe Budden song. That's nuts. Okay, let's keep going.
She gets out of jail, Drake does a feature right away.
Wow.
He hops on the Versace beat, copies that Migos flow, and then he doesn't work with the Migos till years later.
Was that your plan all along? Why you ain't do that vid with Fetty, but you hopped in a song?
So he did the song with Fetty,
What
didn't do the
song?
video, and then he just ghosted him.
Sound like a zombie on a track. Remember started from the bottom, it was zombie on the track. Know who else started from the bottom? Zombie on the track. How come after that joint I don't see zombie on the track?
So Mike Zombie is a producer that made the Start It From the Bottom beat, but after that track, Drake
My
never
way.
worked with him again. He wasn't a well-known producer, and from what I can remember, Drake got the beat for an extremely cheap price. It's a story as old as time. Like, a lot of people have taken interest in black art, but then they take very little interest in the well-beings of the people who are making the art. And Joe made 4 different diss tracks towards Drake, and when all this beef cools down, I'm going to be breaking down those records because Joe was an amazing writer, and he deserves to have that highlighted. And the reason why Drake didn't respond to Joe is not because he wasn't worthy of a response. It was because he knew not to. He knew it was a bad idea.
You gon' make a nigga bring back Puff. Let me see
Wow.
the Chubbs really crash something. Yeah, my first one like my last one.
More
It's a
songs,
classic. You
though?
don't have one.
Kendrick brings it back to when P. Diddy allegedly punched Drake in the face and claims he's about to do the same.
Child, everything didn't age well. Now did it?
He then mentions Drake's longtime friend and bodyguard Chubbs, who was likely with Drake the night that Diddy punched him, and because it was Diddy, he probably didn't do shit about it. Kendrick then gets into the debate about classic albums, claiming that his first album and his last album were both classics. It's in this line where he cleverly snipes both Cole and Drake at the same time, as they both criticize Kendrick's catalog as of late.
Your first shit was classic, your last shit was tragic. Your last one brick, you really not on shit.
Kendrick claims that both Drake and J. Cole have no classic albums, and because this is entirely subjective, I do agree that Good Kid, Mad City and Mr. Morale are both classics. A lot of people didn't like Mr. Morale, but
if I could be fair, I think that Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn, Mr. Morale has to grow on you a little bit. I will say that for the record, but you gotta have a different ear. You gotta be in a certain state of mind and perspective. Maybe I also need to re-listen. Yeah, okay. Let's keep going.
think it will prove to age as a body of work that will be appreciated with more time. And that's just my opinion. I mean, like, all these albums are going to connect with people differently.
Classic.
Let your core audience stomach that. Didn't tell them where you get your abs from.
Kendrick uses a play on words to reference Drake allegedly getting work done to sculpt his abs.
Please, this photo.
Kendrick uses this wordplay to symbolize that Drake's core audience is not that of actual hip-hop fans and of
Key Breeze, no, you did not call Mr. Morale Mr. Morales. Now, Key Breeze, please. But yes, I agree. You have to be in a vulnerable state. You have to be able to, like, really. I'm here with you. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Morales. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me rewind.
getting work done to sculpt his abs. Kendrick uses this wordplay to symbolize that Drake's core audience is not that of actual hip-hop fans, and of course, just like his stomach, he's a fake person with fake music. And I know people are saying, like, what's the big deal? He got work done. I agree. I don't think it's a big deal, but in the context of hip-hop, it's just not something we've ever seen done before or be exposed. Like, it's not a hip-hop type of thing to do.
V12 is a fast one. Last one.
Coming off the last line, Kendrick references a plastic surgery machine called the V12. And of course, it's obviously a reference to an engine found in sports cars.
Headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk.
Just think about it. Not like us. #1 on the charts right now. Not going anywhere. Headshot for a fucking year. That record was already done at this point. Waiting and ready. Kendrick tells Drake that he's coming with a headshot that will leave him so embarrassed that he will be ashamed to be seen in public.
Ooh.
He does this by making a reference to Daft Punk as they wear a masked helmet which completely conceals their identity.
Ooh.
It's also important to note that Drake sampled Daft Punk on one of his recent hits.
One more time,
hate this song.
you gotta run a phase.
On to verse 2.
Remember?
Kendrick
We
starts
haven't
off
even
by
started
reciting
verse
Drake's
2.
track Worst Behavior, where the premise of that entire song is Drake highlighting how he was never embraced, how people counted him out, and he's basically reminding those people of who he is today.
Never loved us.
What a good album.
The record is basically an in-your-face moment for Drake. Like, remember me? Remember how you treated me? Now look at me. It's a very clever callback from Kendrick as it highlights what he's been saying on this track. Drake was looked at as an outsider, but when artists realized that he could be used as a means of pushing their careers further, like getting a Drake feature, they started to embrace him.
Hey, top dog, who the fuck they think they playing with? Extortion my middle name as soon as you jump off of that plane, bitch.
Just like every good diss track, Kendrick is rebuttaling Drake's narratives from push-ups. One of the main components of that diss, right down to the hook and the title, was directly tied to Kendrick allegedly being extorted by TDE.
I'm allergic to the lame shit, only you like being famous. Yachty can't give you no swag neither. I don't give a fuck about who you hanging with.
When we really sit back and think about this thing, Kendrick and Drake couldn't be more different. These guys are literally polar opposites, not just in music that they make, but in the way that they move, the way that they live, the things that are important to them, their values, their moral compass. They are just two completely different people. It's pretty clear that Kendrick doesn't value fame. He's not on social media. He's very quiet, reserved. He's not flashy. The line about Lil Yachty is in reference to Drake's friendship with him. Drake is excellent at remaining tapped into what the youth are doing, and people like Yachty act as a vessel to doing just that.
Ciao.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress.
Coming back to the Kill Bill theory, the way that Drake walks, talks, and dresses are all aspects that are tied to his costume. Kendrick hates these things not because of what they represent, but because it's not authentic to Drake's true identity.
She wanted that feature request. You know that we got some shit to address.
This line didn't surprise me in the slightest. I truly believe that Drake has made attempts to make amends with Kendrick over the years and likely wanted to get back in his good graces. While we know Drake is competitive, I believe he wanted to make Kendrick an asset rather than an enemy. However, because of the differences in these two people, Kendrick probably realized pretty quickly that Drake wasn't someone that he cared to get along with.
I just need a little breather, y'all. My gears. This is so much. It's so good, but it's so much. I just need to breathe for a second. Golden Cashmere, I was going to say too, and you know, Kendrick was not the only one talking about cosplay gangsta. Don't forget what Hiss did. Don't forget what Meg Thee Stallion did on Hiss, okay? This is 3. I hit the way that you walk, the way that you... I actually think this is verse 3. I think you're actually right, actually. We ain't even got to bleed him yet. When I see you stand by Sexy Red, we not even there yet. Oh, you saw it, Jesse? I hope you liked it. Thank you. It was such a good album. I'm sorry. Let's focus. We're back, y'all. Here we go. Let me rewind.
Kendrick probably realized pretty quickly that Drake wasn't someone that he cared to get along with. Drake and Kendrick have been exchanging subliminals for the better part of a decade, and while Drake maybe viewed this as friendly sparring, Kendrick has proven to be someone that values the crown in a different way. Fuck the big three, it's just big me.
I even hate when you say the word nigga, but that's just me, I guess. Some shit just cringeworthy. Ain't even gotta be deep, I guess.
So another line with an extreme amount of depth culturally. You need to think about how and where Kendrick grew up. Kendrick is from Compton, Section 8 projects to be specific. His family has direct ties to gang culture. He was 5 years old when his city was tipped upside down during the Rodney King riots. When you think about the use of the N-word and the history of how it became a thing in African-American culture, what he's saying makes even more sense.
Okay.
America has deep ties to slavery, literally in the millions. In the case of Drake, he grew up in Canada, a place that does not have a history of black slavery. In fact, Canada only has 4,000 documented slaves. Then when we look at how Drake grew up, being raised in an affluent white neighborhood, going to very good schools, it's 100% clear that the N-word wasn't something that he heard being used.
Let him cook.
He didn't hear it from his mother's family.
Let him cook.
He didn't hear it from his friends. He didn't hear it at school.
Which is why when he opened up with Family Matters and his mom was saying like, maybe you shouldn't say, and then he just jumped into it. It was like, okay. Okay. All right. And then if somebody's saying that you shouldn't say the word no more, and then you gonna double down saying that you make music to free the slaves, okay, let's rewind. I'm sorry. I'm here. He's cooking.
He didn't hear it from his mother's family. He didn't hear it from his friends. He didn't hear it at school. It just wasn't intertwined with his upbringing. Basically, there came a day in Drake's music career where he decided that he was going to start using the word. It isn't a natural thing for him, and it never was. Kendrick looks at Drake's use of the N-word just like the other aspects that make up his costume. This is not even up for debate. Like, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to tell you that word clearly doesn't fit into the way that Drake speaks naturally. And I saw that a lot of people tried to pigeonhole Kendrick on this record as being racist, but that's not what any of this actually means. Kendrick is not trying to disregard that Drake is half black. He's just pointing out the elephant in the room.
Matter of fact, I ain't even bleed him yet. Can I bleed him? When I see you stand by Sexy Red, I believe you see two bad bitches.
He starts by adding some humor into the mix, poking fun at Drake's relationship with Sexy Red.
I did have a giggle.
Where Kendrick essentially correlates Drake's energy with that of a female and not a man's.
I believe you don't like women. It's real competition. You might pop ass with them.
Kendrick then continues with the humor from the previous line. Sexy Red, along with their fan base, are known for twerking, and he says that Drake should join in on the fun. This could also be in reference to the nickname coined for Drake by Rick Ross, BBL Drizzy. Kendrick also seems to insinuate that Drake could be gay, alluding to how Sexy Red is his real competition when it comes to male attention. He also alludes to Sexy Red as being another form of competition when it comes to the actual music. However, the line also has a more serious tone, as Kendrick could be alluding to the fact that Drake doesn't like women because he likes younger girls.
No, maybe. I also thought it was a reference to Meg. That's what I got from that. Let's listen.
I mean, at this point, it's been Kendrick's main angle that he's been playing for most of his records, right?
Let's speak on percentage. Show me your splits.
Some reaches in there. I don't agree, but let him cook. Let's keep going.
Kendrick continues to chip away at Drake's narrative from push-ups, rebuttaling Drake's lines regarding contract splits, and Kendrick seems fairly confident that his circumstance is still better than Drake's.
You assigned to a nigga that signed to a nigga that said he was signed to that nigga.
Again, all part of his strategy on this track. Kendrick is pulling previous information from others, and in this case, it is Pusha T's reference from Exodus 23:1.
You signed to one nigga that signed to another nigga that signed to three niggas.
Yeah, this is about Lil Wayne.
Because Drake criticized Kendrick regarding his contract splits, he ultimately opened himself up entirely to being rebutted with a situation that could possibly be even worse. Kendrick alleges that Drake tried to strike down to like that record, which is an allegation that seemingly might be true, as we have seen leaked emails surface that potentially confirm it.
Now,
there could very well be some truth to it, but anyone can make one of those emails. Like, I can make one of those emails that looks just like that in 5 minutes.
Back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record.
Kendrick claims that he likes Drake's record against Meek Mill back to back and proceeds to dish out a double entendre. Firstly, Kendrick announces on this track that he's going back to back on Drake, which proved to be true, as that's exactly what he did on the upcoming diss tracks. Secondly, notice how he uses the words "for the record." He uses this to point out that he already took a loss against Pusha T, but he's about to add another L to his record, receiving back-to-back losses.
That is something. Oh, wow, that's something. I didn't even think about it like that. I thought it was just back to back. Oh, he be rapping for real. This is not a... I need the Funk Flex bombs. Wow. Oh, that's nasty.
Why would I call around trying to get dirt on niggas? Y'all thinking my life is rap? That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you
don't know nothing about that.
Kendrick alleges that Drake and OVO have been offering money for information to use against Kendrick in a diss track. Previously, Pusha T publicly stated that OVO was offering $100,000 in search of information for Drake to use in their beef.
Such a wild photo.
He then points out that he has kids to raise, and unlike Drake, that's his priority. However, this line has an even deeper meaning, as Drake's father was absent for a large chunk of his upbringing.
My dad used to tell me he would come into the house to get me. He ain't show.
So when Kendrick says you don't know nothing about that, he's saying that Drake could not know much about fatherhood because he never experienced it.
I thought this was just about ooh. I thought this was just about him raising his baby. Oh, Jesus.
Himself. And this has been something that's been brought up in Drake's music a lot. So he's hitting them in a sore spot with this.
Waking them up, no nothing about that. Then tell them to pray, no nothing about that.
Waking them up in the morning, telling them to pray, like things that Drake might not have had from his dad.
I thought it was just about him raising Adonis.
You don't know nothing about that.
So again, this is one of the hardest angles on the diss, where he's saying that Drake's dad wasn't around to teach him morals, integrity, and discipline. Basically, he's saying if you lacked all those things growing up, then how are you going to teach this to a child? You don't know nothing about that. And it's a brilliant angle because he's setting it up like this is the reason why Drake is the way he is today. You got no morals. You got no integrity. Nobody taught you.
Speaking the truth and consider what God's considering. You don't know nothing about that.
And what Kendrick also means is that all these qualities that Drake lacks, that he can't teach his own kids, those are things that he's instilling into his own children that are important to him.
Ain't 20v1, it's 1v20 if I gotta smack niggas that right.
This is filthy.
Kendrick cleverly flips one of Drake's hardest lines from Push Ups, where Drake alluded to the volume of people that were teaming up to conspire against him.
What the fuck is this, a 20v1, nigga?
Kendrick perfectly flips this narrative by claiming that it's really him who's outnumbered, as Drake has a team of writers helping him to pen the verses. It ain't 20v1, it's 1v20. I gotta smack dudes that write for you. That's fucking hard.
Yeah, bring him out too. I clean him out too. Tell Bean that he better stay right with you.
Kendrick alludes to the multi-talented artist Beam, who is known for writing for artists like Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, and even appears on the writing credits for Drake's track Rich Flex. Coming off his last line about having to fight against 20 of Drake's writers, Kendrick claims that regardless of the quality of Drake's writers, he'll still clean them out, meaning he will defeat them easily.
Am I battling ghosts or AI? Nigga feeling like Joe Osteen. Funny, he was in a film called AI. Am I...
Now, I thought this was a little mistake, but clearly nothing Kendrick does is a mistake at this point. But I thought he was talking about Haley Joel. Isn't Joel Osteen the one that is in the church? I thought this was a... Okay, maybe it's not. Let's keep going. My bad.
These bars have quite a bit of depth and cause a lot of confusion.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to clear it up here.
I'm confused.
In the first line, Kendrick asked the question if he is battling Ghost
He's
or
not making
AI,
no mistakes. Let me sit
which
here.
feeds into his previous lines about Drake having ghostwriters. However, battling Ghost is also in reference to Drake using an AI Tupac to diss Kendrick.
Right.
And Tupac has been dead since 1996.
Allegedly.
So he is quite literally a ghost. He then makes reference to a famous but alleged corrupt pastor, Joel Osteen, who was accused of both using AI and ghostwriters to pen his books and sermons.
What?
It's also important to note that Joel Osteen is riddled with plastic surgery, which could be a reference to the work that Drake had done himself. However, it gets even deeper when you find out that Osteen's church was once caught in a child abuse scandal. One of Osteen's volunteers was accused of doing this, and due to the narrative that Kendrick is levied against Drake's camp, this could also be another reference to just that. He then claims that Joel Osteen was in a movie called AI, which is actually incorrect, as it was a child star, Haley Joel Osment.
Okay.
It's unclear if this was intentional or a mistake, but I believe that Kendrick just simply used the name Joel to connect the two people. We then find out that the two Joels are even more connected, as Haley Joel Osment starred in the movies AI and The Sixth Sense. The line contains even more depth when we look at the fact that Haley Joel Osment's character could see and connect with Ghost in the movie The Sixth Sense. This ties perfectly into Drake's AI Tupac gimmick, because without being able to talk to Ghost, how could he really know if Tupac approved of what he was doing? That line is also crazy.
Niggas is dick riders. Tell them run to America to imitate heritage.
So Kendrick said they both named Joel close enough. Is that... Is that what it's? Kendrick said the girls that get it. I don't know. This is nuts.
They can't imitate this violence.
So, following with the theme of Drake being an outsider, in this line, he's not just aiming at Drake, but at Toronto as a whole. Run to America, they imitate heritage, is Kendrick basically saying that the people of Toronto attempt to imitate LA gang culture. As you'll see in the upcoming lines, Kendrick is mocking Toronto gangs for being imitators of LA gangs and saying that they aren't a threat. And Drake showed a lot of disrespect to the West Coast with the AI shit, and now Kendrick's flipping that, dishing it back to him, hitting his city.
Don't speak on the family, Crody. It can get deep in the family, Crody.
Kendrick doesn't appreciate Drake speaking on his family, as he did just that on the Push Ups track, where he made suggestions regarding Kendrick's wife, Whitney. He then uses the term Crody, which is another major cultural reference. Crody is a name flip on the term Brody,
Are they gonna
which
talk
is
about
a
the cat?
slang term derived from African culture. Brody is simply short for the term bro or brother, which are terms of African vernacular dating back to the early 20th century. However, in the last 4 or 5 years, the term Crody has began to surface in Toronto gang culture and eventually became more widespread amongst the people of Toronto itself.
Oh.
Even Drake started saying it.
Crody, turn me up.
So Kendrick is really trying to drive 2 things home here. One, Drake is again stealing from a culture that he has little to no connections with.
Oh, that's crazy.
And 2, Drake is now using gang vernacular, something else he has no ties to. And Drake also has a cat that's named Crody.
We
so
said
he's
that
pretty
one.
much calling Drake a pussy.
I be a Newhall King eating
We
fried
said that
rice
too.
with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody.
This line is extremely clever and has more depth than what people believe. New Ho King is a Chinese restaurant located in Toronto, and years ago Drake was robbed at this location for his watch. However, the line contains way more depth when we look
Kill
at this
Bill
in the
again?
context of the Kill Bill movie.
Oh my god.
One of the most highly regarded fight scenes of all time is when Uma Thurman is in a Chinese restaurant wearing the iconic yellow suit and fighting off countless people. Coming back to the fact that she recently offered Drake this suit, and the fact that Kendrick flipped the 20v1 theory to claim that it's really him who has this battle, the line is even more crazy, as Kendrick is claiming that he will be in Drake City and that he's ready to take on everyone. Just think about it. She offers Drake the yellow suit for 20v1. He just flipped that line on him. Now he's in Drake City, in a Chinese food. Like, the reference makes that line even more fucking crazy, but everyone missed it. And that's why I take my time with this shit, because this is important.
Ooh, talk your shit. Is Uma Thurman involved? I do wonder if there's a lot of references to Kill Bill specifically because Uma Thurman posted that picture. But, like, is she involved? Otherwise, is she in cahoots with Kendrick? Like, what's good? Oh, okay. Anonymous Chris said, he said Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen versus Haley Joel Osment. So he did make a mistake. Maybe he just combined the 2 names together. Joel Osteen. He did say that. So he just said both of y'all at the... Wow. Let's keep going, y'all. Wow, wow, wow.
Don't wanna hear you say nigga no more.
So again, as I explained before, people have taken this out of context in an attempt to make this about color, but this is not what Kendrick means. The entire premise of this record is quite literally painting Drake as a cultural outsider. In order to achieve this, Kendrick used the strategy of hitting Drake with undisputed truths. Kendrick's goal in this record was to showcase the elements that Drake incorporated into the costume that is his hip-hop persona. We saw references from people within the culture like Pusha T, Joe Budden, DMX, Rick Ross, and Meek Mill. Kendrick did this not because he didn't have any new information, but to drive home that the culture has already removed the mask from Drake on its own. This explains Kendrick's strategic use of the quote from the Wiz, "Everything they say about me is true." And let me remind you guys, I am not treating this thing like a fucking race. Like, I'm looking at the bigger picture of what all this means, knowing that in 10, 20 years, people are going to want to watch videos like this one, and I want that to be my video.
Talk your shit.
Like, I'm a white dude I'm a guest in this culture, you know? Like, if I can attach my name to this in any way, that is more than any money I'll ever make or any plaque or anything.
Come on now.
Lyrics. Dirt is so dope, bro.
He kills it, right? His
He's
Kendrick
so
and
fire.
Drake beat.
Damn, he just turned it off. Oh, wow. Oh, talk your shit. I like him. This is a good channel. Now, hold on, Clark. Now, hold on, y'all. Now, what I wanted to say was the last part where Kendrick was like, we don't want to hear you say it no more. What I didn't like is the conversation was on Twitter. People are like, oh my God, Kendrick's being racist. It's because he has a white mom. It's because he's biracial. No, you're missing the point. And then people started posting their pictures of their parents talking about, I'm biracial, but I'm one of the other ones. Like, it's not that. Like, everyone was just missing the point. It was it was blowing my mind. It was like, y'all, please get your parents off the internet, please. Not slide him a plate under the table. You get a little hot link. Yeah, like blood had nothing to do with it. It's all about how you represent, and it's about cultural appreciation, not appropriation. Exactly. Yeah. Not if you had to post a picture of your family that said something. This was a great video. My brain hurts so bad and I cannot do another one, but this was such a I'm so glad we watched both of these. He said, you said one more, my mind is spinning. I would love the day that What's the Dirt comes out with a video on Meet the Grams, babes. Yeah, we're tapped in, y'all. I would love Family Matters, but Meet the Grams, yeah, that's the one I want to see. This was we are set. I cannot take one more piece of information. My mind is spinning. This was fantastic, y'all.